everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Veramed Stories podcast. I'm your host, Francesca, and in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about all things environmental. So I have three guests on with me today. I have Andrew, who's our marketing manager. We have Karen joining us, who's a principal programmer, and we have Matthew, who's one of our statisticians. So hi, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining me today. How are you all doing?
Yeah, doing well, thanks.
Good. Yes.
Nice sunny day.
Not so much here in Scotland as per usual. So with the environmental topic, I know it's a really passionate thing for not just Veramed, but for all of you individually. So I'm going to start this with asking you to tell me about what started the passion, what continues to drive that passion forward. So Matthew, I'm going to start with you. What is it that started this interest in the environment for you?
Yeah, I think I always quite liked playing outdoors as a kid and going camping and things, and then became quite interested in biology and ended up going to study at uni. And then before that was lucky to go on a research trip to Indonesia with a charity and help sort of some of the researchers there on the marine ecology and some of the forest ecology, where they were applying for grants to offset deforestation in the area. So then, became quite interested in the actual research side of it too. And then went to study at uni, did a couple more trips of a similar vein. And then, that's where I am today.
No, that's really cool. So is your background then in biology? Yeah,
I studied biology at undergrad. So slightly unusual background for a statistician here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I've always been interested in the outdoorsy side of it as well, but quite like the kind of numerical side too, which is what we do now.
And did you meet any cool animals? Just when you say forest in Indonesia, I just think of really funky animals.
Yeah, I think you sort of have this image in your mind when you go somewhere like that, having watched lots of nature documentaries, that you're going to see everything straight away. Whereas actually, in the day, most things know how to avoid you. But then if you walk around at night, you hear the sort of sounds and it comes alive. Yeah, saw some very cool animals.
It must have been such an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And Andrew, speaking of outdoorsy, for you it was growing up in Australia, right? That's kind of what got you into this sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think kind of growing up, in an environment where you're always from a young age taught about certainly the heat is the big one in Australia, that classic, the gap in the ozone layer. You got a slip, slop, slap, which is, I can't remember, but there's some sort of campaign where I was putting on sunscreen and slapping on a hat and all that kind of stuff. And water, droughts are a big thing, obviously in Australia, notorious bushfires and all that, all reflective of environmental change anyway. Probably less so back when I was a kid, but when you're growing up in that environment, you kind of taught that sort of thing in school. So that sort of certainly reinvigorated me. But I mean, I've also done that sort of typical ebbs and flows with environmentalism, where at times of verging on being somewhat nihilistic about it, in the sense that you kind of think that it's all just big corporations and it's just big companies. It's all them. They're the ones doing all the damage and problem, which obviously they are largely responsible for in many respects. But since joining Veramed, especially, that whole mentality of everyone doing their part, and even small changes, but collectively make a bigger difference, is something that has certainly sort of helped that passion as well.
No, that's really cool to see. And Karen, I know you do so many different things. So tell me how it all started for you.
So I've got a similar sort of youthful experience to Matt, actually, in that when I was younger, we always went camping. We had holidays within the UK. We went taking flights all over the place and what have you. So being outdoors is just where I feel happy, at peace, if you like. So if I've ever had a stressful day, being outside is my favorite thing. But I think we have to realize that unless we sort of change our ways a little bit, that things are going to change, and things are changing. Things have changed, and what that means is we have to change our attitude towards it and just take care of it a bit better.
Absolutely. And you're like kind of home office is outside, isn't it? Because I can see like you're like in your sheds.
Oh, it's not a shed. It is a garden building. That's my thing. So yes, my outlook is I look out into our garden. It's lovely and green. It's full of wildlife. So yes, it's nice being down here.
It must feel so serene.
It does, and it's just really peaceful. I mean, people that have seen things that I've posted know that I've got a little bird table. There is a picnic table.
Oh.
So yeah, having a little picnic, that's nice. So
Yes.
yeah, it's nice just to have a bit of separation between work and home. But
yeah,
again, it's all sustainable because it is a garden building. It is made of wood, but it is as sustainable as possible.
yeah, absolutely. No, it's really great to hear. So I think I feel like all three of you are kind of similar in how you have like got into that environmental thinking. Like it all kind of starts from enjoying the outdoors, like appreciating the animals and just everything that we have around us. So like we're obviously very conscious day to day about what we actually do. So I think speaking of like the day to day, that's obviously what we do with most of our time is, working at Veramed. So I'll pass this on to you, Andrew. What's the main like environmental focus for Veramed when it comes down to that sort of environmental thinking and like different initiatives?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's sort of two main facets to it. So obviously, it all starts where we're a B Corp, so we're B Corp certified, which obviously gives us a huge amount of focus on being sustainable and ethical as a company. And from there, we've obviously created various hives, and one of those is the Environment Hive. And from within that, that's where your big initiatives and small initiatives come out that try and get all employees involved, or at least on more of a corporate level, sort of do something big like what we've done with Earthly, which is offset our carbon footprint. So we've got those sort of two sort of main focuses where you'll do something big as a company, like offset our carbon footprint for the previous year, which is part of our ongoing strategy that we do each year anyway. Or we're recently signing up with the Science-Based Target Initiative, SBTI, which is kind of more than offsetting. It's actually making reductions on like our scope 1 and 2 emissions.
Oh, wow.
So that's being set up this year. That's like a 2030 type goal. So they're the sort of big things. And then you got the smaller ones where the Environment Hive will sort of come up with sort of small little fun initiatives, which could be something basic like litter picking, or where sort of there's a bake. I think there's a bake-off. There's an annual bake-off in Veramed, I'm sure. I mean, I've been here a couple of years. I should know by now. But there's a bake-off. And so we'll sort of infuse ourselves into that and try and have like a plant-based sort of category, let's say. Or there's obviously the recent things like the Environment Week, where we're sort of touching on, that's sort of everything A to Z, all those sorts of things included, where they're sort of sharing vegan sort of plant-based recipes, litter picking, wearing green days, a competition, all that kind of stuff. So they're the sort of two. It can be big and small. It can start at like sort of the leadership level, and then it filters down to just even it's like tips in our newsletters and stuff like that to sort of just share awareness, share some ideas. And then obviously on our big sort of online chats, the WhatsApp of Veramed, there's obviously lots of ideas and feedback and like so much uptake, which has been really, really nice to see. Like when I first started, I mean, Veramed's grown, but like the Environment Weeks and things like that, so many more people take part and there's so much more interaction, which is really, really great.
Yeah, and with the B Corp, am I right in thinking that we were the only CRO to have that? Like, I know we're probably not now, but I'm sure I've got that in my head that we were maybe the first.
Yeah, I think, we were the first CRO, and I think it's still only like, I can't remember the exact percentage, but it's like under 5% within the pharmaceutical industry, within our industry in general, broader industry. are B Corp certified as well. So I think the first year, not anymore. Don't know who the other ones are, but it's obviously grown in popularity because we've been certified since 2020, and now we're being we're going for reaccreditation this year. So yeah, B Corp's grown and grown and grown. They're always updating their stats, but there's obviously a long way to go in our industry in general, I think.
Yeah. And like I know one of the other initiatives, like we have spoken about this on previous episodes, but when it comes to conferences, especially the PSI, we have a deal with them about the lanyards, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We've got this lanyard deal where we supply it's basically recycled lanyards. So they're made from recycled materials, but also we got this sort of long-term contract where each year people, once they finish the event, instead of throwing their lanyard elsewhere or in the bin, they put them into these drop-off bins, and then they get obviously washed and stored and get reused next year. So little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do that at PSI event. We've also got people in the leadership team that go to various industry events and have done presentations on this sort of stuff, whether it's directly B Corp related or more around environmentalism itself. So yeah, definitely trying to share the word. That's definitely part of like the wider strategy for Veramed. Like that's what, as we're all quite passionate about it. It comes right up to the leadership level as well. Yeah. So yeah, definitely trying to share awareness, get involved, and inspire other companies to sort of join the cause, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think when you speak about the Veramed culture, you spoke about the environmental week as well that we had recently. So that was a full week of like lots of different events, like loads of fun things. And I think what I really liked about it was the fact that it got the whole company involved. So like even if you were in, our Ukraine office or you were a home worker, like myself, like Karen, like you could still get involved in lots of different things. Like it wasn't just office specific. So I thought that was something that was really cool as well. So yeah, like the friendly competition, I would say, I thought was really amazing because like I definitely learned a lot from that. Like as you said, Andrew, we have like our own Veramed WhatsApp, and I think one of the things that you maybe had to tick off every day was like sharing a different environmental tip, wasn't it? And Karen, I'm coming to you because you had like the most amazing tips and just loads of things that I'd never like thought about before or heard about before. Is there any of those tips that you can share with us on the podcast?
I felt like I was spamming people, to be honest, but I am really passionate about it. So they were the one that got some of the most uptake was the use of wax wraps. So there's vegan ones because wax wraps do use beeswax, but just ditch the cling film, get rid of it. And I think another thing that I was quite passionate about, and don't know whether everyone shares this, is single-use vapes. They drive me mad.
Oh yeah.
Just because I live opposite a school and they're just so wasteful. I mean, they're not particularly good for you anyway, but they're so wasteful and there's a lot of resources that go into them. But there's also things like obviously recycling, using as much as you can, or reusing. For example, we built our understair storage, recycling items that we already had. So it cost a lot less than we were expecting. We were quoted about £3,000.
Oh wow!
And in the end, we only spent about 500 because we reused things that we already had.
Yeah,
and it looks amazing. Just to give my husband the credit for it. But yeah, buying secondhand, repurposing things where possible. There's lots of things that you can do just to reduce your environmental impact.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I posted a couple as well. Like, I can't remember them now, but like using small like washing machine tablets and things like, because they're like environmentally friendly. And one of the other ones was using, I don't know if I can pronounce it, is it Ecosia for like your web browsing instead of Google? Is that right?
I'd never heard of that before, and I've used it now. And I don't do a lot of internet searching, but apparently I've managed to plant 2 trees.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That was good. So I'm quite pleased with that. I did recommend that to somebody else as well. So.
Yeah, so like if you don't know, the Ecosia is like a Google type website where you can search for, just use it like Google, but every time you search, they plant a tree. So I think that's like a really great initiative.
Yeah, I think you have to do about 50 searches to plant one tree. So it's
right, okay. So it's not just
one search.
pair, right?
It's a cumulative count.
I think the world would have planted billions and billions and billions of trees by now. It was every one search, but
definitely.
But still, 50 is still good because the amount out there, people searching. So
yeah, definitely. If we can use that at work as well, when we are Googling stuff during the day, I think it's a really like easy way without like really knowing you're doing it, because it's just like such an easy thing to do.
It's just I think that's the main message to get across is small changes really add up. I mean, you don't realize how much just recycling all your plastics or reducing your food waste or not taking that car journey but walking, you don't realize how much if everyone did that, it all adds up and it makes such a difference.
The amount of like single-use plastic and stuff when you go to the supermarket, you realize just how much is out there and just all around the house, And
it's like the food recycling, because we had a spreadsheet, you could put your name and there was like all the different initiatives that you could do. And one of them was food recycling. So when we moved house last year, I never like took out my little food recycling bin that, that your local council will provide you with. So when I saw it on like our Environment Week spreadsheet, I thought, oh, I need to go and find that. So I went into the garage, found it, and I've been using it ever since. It's just like small things like that like do make such a difference.
It was quite a hotly fought contest between myself and Matt, I think. We were competing quite hard.
I know, because you both won the prize, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, as Karen said, I found myself sort of in my garden at 9 p.m. on Thursday night, drilling holes into an old fence post to make a bee hotel in order to try and catch her up on points. So there's quite a range of things that you could actually do to score points, which I thought was really good. Like I didn't even really know that those sort of habitats are required for like solitary bees. So you can just make some of them to go by drilling some holes into a deep piece of wood or using some old bamboo cane that's lying around.
Oh,
I think I was just going to interject. I think looking at the spreadsheet, because obviously in the hive, I keep an eye on the points, and you guys filled in every single activity that you could have got points on. So definitely it was very hotly contested. I can see every box except for one. I think, Karen, you didn't replace light bulbs with LED light bulbs. Maybe you've already got LEDs in there.
That is exactly the reason why. It was because all of our light bulbs are LED, including in our camper van, which some may argue is not particularly environmentally conscious because it is 35 years old, really. But you could also argue that we haven't sent it to be to landfill. We've kept it going, so we're keeping something going that's old.
That's true. Because I know one of the other things was like posting like a plant-based recipe or something on the WhatsApp. Like, did either of you like suggest a recipe?
Yeah. Something that I made first time that week was a sort of sticky tofu with sesame seeds, kind of stir fry sort of thing, which is really nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've never successfully cooked with tofu before, but I realized because I was buying the wrong sort. Wasn't buying extra firm. It's like the soft stuff that just kind of disintegrates the moment it hits the pan. So there's also another tip.
You do need to buy the firm stuff. And a top tip is if you coat it in corn flour first before you fry it, it gets a nice crispy coating on it. And
nice. Let's try that.
So there's I think there's quite a few recipes like cauliflower schnitzel. So you can chop your cauliflower into quite sort of inch wide slices and coat it in breadcrumbs, and then you can fry it and it comes out like a schnitzel. It comes out looking soft.
That is just making me hungry.
There's lots of different ways you can do, and it's not all about using meat replacement because it's trying to use as much vegetables as possible and plant-based items.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is like but making like a chickpea curry. Just just the curry flavor, the chickpeas, they just come out nice and soft, and yeah, that has got to be one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I probably should stop talking about food because it is making me feel hungry. So I'm just thinking as well, like when, like there was not just like the spreadsheet, obviously, like there was things that were happening in the offices as well. So I think some of the offices did like local litter picking as well. Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, so speaking for the Twickenham office, we along the riverbank in Thames gets like covered in, I think the thing we found most was cigarette butts by benches and yeah, lots of cans and stuff that blown around in the wind or washed up. So we did that one time as a group.
How many bags did you end up filling up?
We kind of splintered as a group, but I think at least 8 were part full.
Oof. See, that does sound quite a lot.
They're sort of big bin bags, aren't they? They're solid sized bags.
Yeah.
And did they provide you with like the picker things as well?
Yep, that was part of the draw. Annie brought in some of the litter pickers, so I had one between 2, and then one person on grabbing duty and the other on bagging.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
I saw that there were litter picks as well from the Alderley Park office and the Swansea office. And the Alderley Park office actually also went to the community garden that's based on the site, and we're doing some gardening as well, which was nice.
I hope it was a nice day for that. And like I know as well that the Kiev office, I'm sure they did something about recycling, I think.
They went to a zero waste site, I believe. As from the pictures that I saw, how they were using some of their waste to create art and bits like that. So I thought that was really nice.
Oh. Yeah, no, that is really cool. And like as I said before, like it was like it's not just like a UK thing, that Environment Week, like obviously like our other offices and other home workers were able to get involved in things, which I think was really good. And like I know on the Friday we had Green Day. So when I initially saw that email come through, I was like, oh, are we getting Green Day? Because I'm a massive like Green Day fan. They're a band. Really love them. And then I was like, oh, it's to wear green into the office. So yeah, on Friday, I made sure to wear like the brightest, greenest jumper that I did have.
But in that email, I made sure that the text was in green. I thought, hopefully, nobody's going to mistake this for the rock band Green Day. But even I thought of it. As I wrote, I was like,
didn't work.
Yeah, no, exactly. Fail.
I did like the way that you span it out though, Andrew, and said it doesn't have to be green. It can be like recycled fabrics, or it can be something that's ecologically sustainable or something like that. So it didn't have to be green. It just had to be green in theme.
Yeah, we didn't want to contribute to sort of fast fashion and have everyone go out and buy a green T-shirt from ASOS or anything crazy. So if you happen to have green, I should have put in brackets, just if you happen to.
But not the band.
Yeah, no, but not the band, no.
And like Friday as well was also, it was a special day in terms of environmental. It was the World Nature Conservation Day as well. So I think that tied in really nicely for the Friday initiatives.
Sure. Yeah, part of the inspiration of doing the week around that anyway. It all sort of tied in, fitted in nicely.
And yeah, I think just to maybe finish off, is there like any other initiatives that we do at Veramed? So like I know like we'll wear green or we'll wear something that's been recycled, but is there anything else from like across Veramed that we do or that we get involved in?
We last week had a company-wide, so I think every month we have a Wellness Wednesday at lunch, which could be to a talk on like mental health, or every so often, I think it's like once a season essentially, is a wellbeing walk and a wellness walk, and then this time we made it a foraging walk, so encouraging people to make the most of the summer and pick some blackberries, or if you felt really confident, go for something else and then try and make something of it afterwards. So yeah, we got some really good engagement with that. Saw some really good hauls of blackberries and some, I think, crumble ideas and in action.
Yeah, I was going to say there was probably a massive crumble that weekend.
Yeah.
I will say my dog is especially good at foraging, especially when it comes to apples. We have quite a few orchards down here, and or the trees that he found are actually in a memorial garden that's open to the public. He managed to find quite a little windfall, so he was quite happy.
I can just imagine you like chasing him around, being like, "Drop that apple, drop it."
Yes, he did manage to get about 4 that day, I think. So
good day.
It's a great day for a dog.
It was a good day for him, definitely.
So I know, like, it wasn't that weekend. I think it was last week. I took my dog to like a local. I was going to say like lake. It's a man-made lake, but my local lake, and I actually found some blackberries as well. They weren't quite ready though, so I wasn't able to pick them. But I was like, "Oh, why were you not here last week when I needed you for the foraging walk?"
I now know what elderberries look like, though. Thanks, Matt, because the ones that I found that I thought were, and I didn't pick, weren't elderberries, but I now do know what they look like.
Oh, good.
So, I'm pleased. And I found a local stash of them, so that's good.
Oh, I know like elderberries are good for making cordial and things.
Apparently so, yes.
There's another idea. If you find some elderberries, you can make some cordial.
And it'll be free.
Do they even sell elderberries in supermarkets? I've never seen an elderberry.
No, I don't think I have.
And what it looks like.
I don't think I have.
No.
And it's
Indian nature.
Yeah, and it's free. What could you want?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and talking to me and our listeners about like different tips and things that we can do to be think more consciously about our environment and, take baby steps, and small things actually do make a really big difference. So thank you, 3 of you, for joining me today. So yes, thank you all very much for listening. If you would like to be notified for any future episodes, please subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, or whichever podcast platform you're using. If you would like to know more about Veramed, please visit our website at veramed.co.uk, or you can find us on LinkedIn. If you have any questions about Veramed, please feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn. And if you have any environmental questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to myself, Matt, Karen, or Andrew. You can also find Veramed on YouTube and on Instagram at We Are Veramed. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and until next time, see you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.